And hello, everyone. Welcome to Eye on the Storm. I'm Anna Prosser Robinson, one of your hosts, and I'm joined by the lovely, fair, punctual, and extremely talented co-host Gillyweed.
So many nice things. Hey guys, I'm Gillyweed. It's nice to see you. We are doing Eye on the Storm, which is a show about Heroes of the Storm, the video game by Blizzard that is in alpha right now. And we are, of course, on the amazing Misscliks channel. But for those of you who don't know Misscliks, Anna, could you maybe tell us a little bit about what Misscliks is all about?
I would love to. Misscliks is a community and website that's dedicated to the idea that there just aren't quite enough female role models in geek and gaming culture, and that we want to make sure that those role models that there are welcome, and that they welcome more and more role models into the community as well. So the website and community are just dedicated to providing support and exposure to female role models who do exist in that culture. And as part of that, that means having content and shows that are hosted by female role models. As you can see, this is one of them.
Yep, this is Eye on the Storm, and the reason that we've started this show is Anna and I love Heroes of the Storm. We love this game, and we have always shared this sort of passion to one day possibly be able to cast a game. And so when this one came up, we thought, this is a good one for us to try our hand at casting, but we needed to learn more about it. And so we've started this show as a way so that you guys can learn along with us all about this awesome game that we love. And along the way, we'll be also learning more about the meta and what's happening and evolving in the game as it goes along. And so we hope that you will enjoy learning about it with us as well.
Yeah, and every week what you can expect is a certain framework, some segments that you can expect. First, of course, we'll have a guest every week. We'll introduce our guest in just a moment. You can see that handsome face right there. And they will help us as we work through a specific topic. Recently, it's been maps and talking about the particular meta on a particular map, but we've also looked at different heroes, and we've talked about community events and things like that. So a specific topic we'll focus on. We'll also have a spotlight on a specific hero, usually a build, something about how they're evolving or what's a great way to use that hero. We'll have a Q&A where you can ask us questions as well as our guest. We'll have a spotlight on the community, things that you can watch or check out that have been cool that week, or streams you can watch, anything like that. And then at the end, we'll do a play session where we will play together or cast together depending on what's appropriate for that topic that week. And so you can interact with us all along in the chat, and then throughout the show and with the Q&A, use the hashtag StormShow, and we'll be watching that, so let us know if there's anything that you want to know. Especially if you have questions for our guest, who is Evil Genius's own LzGamer. Please give him a warm welcome. How are you doing today, Jake?
I am doing great. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Could you tell everyone, just if they aren't familiar with you by chance, who you are, what you do, and what brought you to Heroes?
Alright, I am a old school gamer. I've been gaming ever since I was practically born. I started competitive gaming in StarCraft Brood War. Started that in about 2004. And then I moved on to StarCraft 2. And, I just have a passion for Heroes. I really love the game. It's totally different than what I grew up on, which is more of like 101, like RTS games. So it's a totally different aspect to it. It's, it's a team-based game, and it's a lot of fun, totally action-packed. It kind of reminds me of a MOBA, like a League of Legends or something, plus maybe like a WoW Arena or something, like a ton of action, just constant battles, and it's just really awesome, and I'm really enjoying the game.
Well, I'm enjoying watching you play as well, as somebody who loves watching you play StarCraft. And we got to watch you at BlizzCon. That was pretty fun.
We did. Yep, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
That was awesome to watch. All of the show matches and the brawl were really fantastic, really cool. The crowd was awesome. And speaking of BlizzCon, last week's episode, we did sort of a BlizzCon recap. So if you missed that, you can always find it on the Misscliks YouTube channel. Just had to put that little plug in there.
So let's get right into our topic for this week, because I'm really excited to learn a little bit from your insight, Jake. And this is actually also my favorite map. This week we're covering Blackheart's Bay. And let's just give JC maybe just a little review. We have a couple episodes. Again, if you're super new to this game, we did start with the very, very basics. So you can go back to our old episodes of Studying the Storm, the show this was before Eye on the Storm, and you can do our Heroes 101 and check out the very, very basics of this map if you want. But let's give just a brief rundown of that before we get into kind of the more detailed suggestions and gameplay ideas.
Sure. So Blackheart's Bay otherwise known as the pirate map, is where you have to collect doubloons, gold coins, that you then turn into Blackheart, the sort of, is he like a ghost? A pirate?
Pirate
Yeah,
ghost.
Ghost Pirate.
Yeah, ghost pirate.
Yeah.
Pirate ghost, whichever. You turn into him, and then once your team has turned in enough, then he will start the cannon barrage, where he will use cannons to hit your enemy team structures. So the more you turn in, the further and further in it'll get as structures get destroyed, until eventually you could possibly turn in and just kill their core that way without actually being there and attacking it. So you get these doubloons by a couple of different ways. There are pirate camps on the maps, in addition to the normal mercenary camps that are on all of the maps, or most of the maps. And then there's also, every once in a while, pirate chests that spawn, and those give doubloons as well. That's basically it for the basics of the map. I think I'm not leaving anything out.
No, I think you got it. The
Okay,
thing
cool.
I love about this map, and a really defining characteristic of this that's different than the other maps, is it is possible on this map to play completely PvE. If you don't engage with the opposing team at all on this game, and you just get coins and turn them in, it is possible to beat the other team that way. It's unlikely, but it's possible. And I think that's what I like about this map, is that it gives you a lot of diversity in how you choose to approach it, which is going to be really fun as we talk to LZ about how he approaches it, and then later as we look at our character spotlight, which is Abathur. So, LZ, let's talk a little bit about this map, and let's specifically start with the objectives, the collecting coins. How important is that? How much should you focus on it? When should you focus on it? What do you have to say about doubloons?
All right. Well, the doubloons are really good. They're great to have. They're even better to turn in, though. Like sometimes, people will stockpile them, get them to 100, and then die with them. They do it wrong. No, they're really good. The coins is everything in this map. Turn-ins. This is, like you said, this is actually the only map where you can actually win by just rotating around your opponent. Like you actually can win simply by never engaging and just grabbing merc camps, grabbing the golem at the top. Forcing them to react to defend those things, and then you just turn coins in and get an advantage from it, right? Mm-hmm. And so coins are so important on this map, and that's the reason it's really important to make sure you have a team comp built around this map in particular. Like Falstead with Fly is really great on this map because he can not only fight for top chest, but then he could even fly down to the bottom chest, right, and fight over that too. So a lot of characters with high mobility are really strong on this map, But yeah, this is one of my actual favorite maps to play. It's actually a lot of fun.
What makes it your favorite?
I just think there's so much rotating that goes around. Like there's so many times where you don't have to. Like when, for example, if a tribute spawns, you almost always have to fight over it, right? There's not many other things you can do to trade off. Like, oh, well, we'll go do X, Y, and Z instead. But on this map, it's like, oh, well, a chest popped. Let's just grab top chest and then we'll go. You can actually just split the coins or something and be perfectly fine with that and be like, oh, it's fine. We'll split the coins and we'll just go up to top and grab the top golem real quick. So there's lots of things that you can actually rotate around your opponent. And so I think this is one of the big maps where, shot calling and stuff really comes into effect and plays a really big role.
And something to note on this map too is not only do the pirate camps give doubloons, but the regular merc camps, which there are giants on each side, knights on each side, and then knights at bottom, and the golem on top, I think. Yep. All give 2 each as well, which is the same as the pirate camps, and then the chests give 5. So I really like that. If, for instance, you do miss out on a chest, or the chests, you're not completely out, you can definitely go and take those other ones. Obviously, you want to go for the chests because they have a lot more, but you're not out. You've got other things that you can go for. I think that's
Absolutely.
Really cool.
Yeah, and it's actually not just about the chests. The chests are the bonus to it. Actually, most of the coins actually come from the little pirate camps. That's the little pirate camps and the ogres and knights all across the map. That's actually where most people get more of the advantage from than just when the chests spawn.
I think a lot of people don't realize, when they're starting, they're focused so much on the chests, they kind of forget about those pirate camps. Right. So you would say then that that's something that you definitely don't want to be missing out on whenever they're up, especially on your side. You would want to go for them.
Yeah, you definitely want. I mean, if you have an advantage, let's say your opponent has 3 people bottom, and your team has 3 people top. Well, then you should be bullying their pirate camps on their side too. Even at the top, you should be grabbing all of them, and you should be trying to to get as much because they actually give a lot of experience too. That's something I think people don't realize is those little pirate camps actually give a huge chunk of experience every time you capture or kill them. So you actually can get a really big advantage, like experience-wise and coin-wise, just from controlling them.
Do you know how often the cooldown timer is for the little pirate camps?
I mean, not by heart. It actually says when you kill them, though.
Okay, yeah. I didn't
So-
know if it was like a normal merc camp, more like, or like less.
I think it's less than a normal merc camp.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's less than like ogres or something.
I feel like they are up more often, but I can't remember either how long it is.
Yeah, I couldn't either. I just didn't know if you
If
knew
I
off
had
the
to
top
guess,
of
it
your
would be
head.
like 2 minutes.
Mhm.
If I
Okay.
just had to guess, that's what I think.
Yeah, I've
Cool.
noticed that too, especially, in ladder games. Like, I end up always being the one that's just running between, these 4 little pirate camps
Right.
and just grabbing them all because everyone else seems to think of them as maybe too piddly to focus on or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like we get spoiled. If you look at you capture a merc camp or a normal merc camp with like ogres or knights, that they fight for you, or even a grave golem. But these don't, and so people are like, oh, they're not as good or important. When in fact they're actually just as important, if not more important, because they're easy to kill, they're very quick to take out, and they're just a nice big experience boost every time you do it.
So we talked about Falstad being good then with this map because he can fly around and take all those pirate camps and maybe even steal a merc camp from the other side as well. But what other maybe comps or heroes are especially good on this map, would you say?
I think Brightwing's really good on this map. Another high mobility hero. Abathur, of course, is a god on this map, so it kind of goes hand in hand with the topic we're talking about today. So that's nice. I don't know. There's a lot of good heroes on the map, just in general. I mean, there is team fighting that goes on this map in general. Like, it is a snowbally map. That's the only negative side to it. Like, if one team is just destroys the other team in the first team fight, it's hard for that other team to come back, because unless the other team makes a mistake and like engages, they actually don't have to. They can kind of just run around and take camps and just keep turning in to win. So that's one of the negative sides to it, but I still think it's a lot of fun, and there's still a lot of strategy that goes into it.
So would a really rangy person, a really rangy hero, be a great one on this map? Someone that you would typically expect to roam the map?
Like rangy as like
Are you
talking about like an Asmodan or a Tyrande?
Yeah, or I mean like a Nova, someone you would normally see running around the map and not laning, something like that.
Yeah, Nova's great. Nova's good on this map.
Okay.
Nova's good on every map.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, roaming's really strong on this map too. So somebody like a Nova Arthas combo or something like that is really strong here.
Okay.
Like always having somebody that can put a lot of pressure on. It's really good.
And the way the lanes are kind of set up, there's like more, I guess there's good opportunities for kind of like back alleying and ganking, right? I mean, maybe not as much as the Cursed Hollow, but they're the lanes are not straight. Like the middle ones are kind of split up.
Right. Well, there's a long lane between like their like wall and your wall. So it's unlike Curse. Curse is really small. Like, it's hard to actually gank successfully there because it's so close between. It's such a short lane. But on here, it's actually a pretty long lane. I think it's the second longest lane, excluding Garden of Terror. I think that has the longest laning in the game. And so this is actually probably one of the better maps to have a good, strong roaming pair.
So what makes Abathur such a god on this map, particularly?
Particularly because your buildings are life on this map, right? And so when you have Abathur on your team, a lot of the time you actually can like turn in much later in the game. Like, you can almost not necessarily fight for most of the chest. You can just grab some of the pirate camps or whatever, and you can almost like save up your coins to a degree. And Abathur, we call it EG calls it the Abathur effect, and he just like slowly kicks in throughout the game, and he slowly kills at you. He's almost like cancer against the enemy team or something. He slowly eats at the enemy team, and there goes a wall, or there goes a one tower, and there goes a fort. And so he slowly eats at you to where at the Abathur team usually has to turn in only a couple of times, and they're getting like inner keeps. Or they're getting big things that's like it's really putting a lot of pressure on the opponent instead of just like outer forts. Also, when it comes to turn-ins on this map, it's something important to note is when you kill one tower, or you get it down to less than 40, or you get it to 40%, just one tower then a turn-in actually will kill that fort. To
Mm.
where it wouldn't kill the fort if you just turn in right off the bat. Like if you got 10 coins and you just turned in, it actually wouldn't kill the fort, and it would actually give the opponent a chance to maybe mule it up if they had that type of hero or something. That's actually another reason Abathur's good here, is because most heroes have, like Tassadar, for example, or Brightwing, come to mind, Malfurion. They all have to give up a really good talent in their tree to get mule. To where Abathur actually gives up it's like one of his like weaker tiers. So mule is just almost the obvious choice every time, and so mule is great here because the longer you can keep buildings alive or the more HP you can have them, the harder it is for your opponents just to win with the pure turn-in game.
I see. So if Abathur can be working on, you said, getting one of the towers down to 40% on each of those, and then the team can be turning in each time they turn in, it'll kill one of those forts.
Yeah, it'll kill an entire fort.
That's fantastic. I need to learn how to play Abathur.
That's super cool. Yeah.
So in terms of kind of that split push kind of mentality, will someone like Zagara or some of those other really good split pushers be a good idea on this map, or do they fit as well?
Well, I mean, split pushing's great on this map in general, but the problem is, or what makes Abathur stand out better than those, is because he can split push and also team fight with his ultimate. Right? So he can just be like, I'll split push. He can go full split push, like every talent. But then when he wants to team fight, he'd be like, I'm going to be a Vala, or I'm going to become a Nova. And he still has that same power that Nova or something would have to a degree. And so he's still able to team fight just as well as a normal hero, but he's just on a clock, right? So it's like when you make an Abathur clone, it's like that you're looking for a fight, or you have to fight, or you're fighting over a certain objective, whether it's coins or a turn-in or whatever.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I'm excited to learn about how you build him too once we get there.
Yeah. Any other composition or hero thoughts as to who else?
I mean, right now there's almost like it's a pretty stale meta. We haven't had a patch in almost 2 months, I think. Or ever since the reset. I think that was like the last patch we've ever really gotten. And so the top heroes are pretty much the top heroes on every map to a degree. There's a few that move up like 1 or 2 ranks, but I mean you're still seeing the Arthas, the Anubarak, the Tassadar, Falstead, Brightwing, Uther as top heroes on almost every map.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of that. Like, I pretty much don't see teams vary from that very much lately, so.
Yeah. It's really hard to. It's just hard.
Especially when you're doing 5-man.
Yeah.
Queuing up as 5-man. It's like, you want to try to do something, and it's just like, I can't practice. So.
Yeah.
There's always one person in your team that's queued in as Mirrodin.
Yeah.
And you're queuing. There it goes.
You were so upset about Mirrodin.
So mad. So mad. Hold on, I'll fix it.
Mirrodin does that to you.
I was just showing off the EG mouse pad. Don't
Oh,
worry about
nice. So, I mean, I guess then, thinking about this map, are there any other tips and tricks? Like, we've talked about team comp, we've talked about, stages of the game, how to deal with doubloons, all that kind of stuff. Are there any other special tricks that you can share with us, or tips that you think work really well on this map that aren't necessarily well known?
Well, I think it's kind of known that Asmodan he's not a super popular pick, but I actually think he's really strong on this map for the same regards that Abathur kind of is, because he kind of pushes really hard, right? And on this map, a lot of times people are grouping up a lot to turn in and fight over chest or something, to where he can kind of use his promote ability. I don't even know the name of it. I don't play him that much, but he promotes different lanes and stuff and pushes really hard. And so, let me tilt up my webcam. I see it's not right.
No worries.
And so he actually, at level 10, can actually use his ultimate and just solo the golem. He's the only hero that can solo the golem faster than a 5-man, just with his ultimate.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And so, so he actually can just hit level 10 and go and solo the golem, and it just pushes. And so, because buildings are pretty much like life in this game, or on this map more so than the others, because turn-ins can just win the game for you. And it's not more about team fighting; it's a lot more PvE oriented. Then that makes him become that much better with just that type of quick, it's kind of obvious when people are doing golem sometimes, because wow, we don't see anyone, but then if you see 4 people and you just don't see Asmodan and he kills it in seconds, right? And so that's a little bit different.
What about with turning in? So something that I failed to mention is To turn in, you don't just go up and click on them. You have to actually do a channel, sort of like with the Dragon Knight we saw when we were on that episode. Do you have any advice, possibly, for good times to turn in as well for people who are maybe newer?
Yeah, I think the easiest times to turn in is when you acquire like some of the PvE objectives. Like, let's say you get your knights at the top. Let's say if your base is on the right side of the map or something, and you get your knights on the top right, and then you go and your team grabs the golem. Well, then because you now have the knights and the golem pushing top, well, that's a free turn in because they have to deal with that, or they're gonna like lose a whole lot more than a turn in would even give, right? And so things like that, creating opportunities, allows you to turn in. And so there's multiple cases where you can do that type of stuff to where a lot of times it's just grabbing merc camps and forcing your enemy to react to that is the easiest way to just get a free turn in. The other ways is like you try to ninja it sometimes, you know, like your roaming pair has all the coins and they're like, you know, they're not aware of it, but it's sometimes risky because, you know, a Zeratul will pop out or something and then that person gets caught and then you might lose your coins and it might swing the tide of the battle that quick.
And conversely, then, how important would you say it is to like stop turn-ins from the other team as well, when possible?
It's almost like you just have to hard commit, because like smart teams will always try to do it where it's safe, right? They'll always try to have knights pushing top, and so somebody has to go there and defend, and all 5 of them are sitting at turn-in, right? So if you send somebody top to clear those knights, then you can't win that fight because it's now 4v5 at turn-in, right? And so it's almost like you have to like, all right, they're turning in, we just have to forget about top and we have to hard commit and engage because they have a lot more coins than we do, right? And so you just have to almost just go right in there and just like just force the engagement, you know, and try to win the fight right there. And so those are the type of things you have to make really hard calls on that map, I find, and they just have to be very decisive. Like you have to know exactly what your team's doing. If you dance around too long, then you're just like wasting time.
I think that comes up in almost every episode that even a quick decision, even if it's a bad decision, is better than indecision.
I was gonna ask you who coined that first. That's been like the running theme of the show.
I feel like ever since we've had a guest, every guest has said that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think everyone learned it over time.
Yeah.
We thought about it too long, and it was just terrible. Like, you should just do it one way or another.
It's interesting, too, as we watch games, I think you can see that in teams, that brief, like, 3-second pause of, like, oh, crap, we don't know what to do, and then that's when that team normally loses something they really wanted or something like that. So
it's very true.
I wanted to ask, too, I think I really like this map for a lot of reasons, but one of them is I think that the team fights in this middle area are so interesting right around Blackheart because you've got these 2 bridges, and then you've got 2 lanes above those bridges, and then you've got these barrel, obstacle courses down in here, and then you've also got the pirate camps, and then you've got these pillars of the shark. So it makes for really interesting engagements and really tricky but really good opportunities for body blocking too, because for example, if you can get someone to sit right below Blackheart right there in the middle there, it could take potentially 4 people plugging up all of those lanes to body block someone in there, but if you get it, they're just dead. And then also, if you're Stitches and you can pull a neat hook, those kinds of things are really fun. So I really like that. Are there any other spaces that you really like to fight on this map, or places that you stay away from?
Well, I think one of the most common is actually like the 2 fog areas above like the Blackheart turn-in point. It's really popular that people will just literally stay there. So if they just see somebody, that person gets too close, he just gets snapped instantly. But like you said, body blocking is very important. So position is really important in battle. So if they have Stitches and stuff, we want to stay away from those areas as much as possible. We want to fight more in the open area if at all possible. And so it just depends on who you have in the lineup to what's a good position to fight and what's not. So
cool.
It's very team orient dependent.
Yeah.
To where it's do we want to fight in closed areas? If we have Falstad, Laser and Nova and stuff, then the tight narrow chokes are really good fights for us. But if we're fighting against that, then it makes it the exact opposite. All right, well, we need to spread out as much as possible, because if we all get hit by all the ultimates, then we're just going to die.
Right. Gotcha.
Speaking of areas on the map, this one is a famous one called the Smiley Face. Do you want to maybe describe that to people who are going to hop into the game once they get in and people are going to be talking about the Smiley?
I mean, I think everybody has seen it since the moment they changed it. Like that's what it is. It's just the smiley face. In pub
I
games,
don't see the
it's
smiley
a 5.
face. Where?
What?
It's the
Oh,
watchtower.
you mean the watchtower? I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yes. I always put a clown nose on it.
It's
to ping
really
it.
pronounced in the game
Yeah.
too, because you don't see the parts where there's
Mhm.
like the bushes, so
you
it
don't-
just
yeah.
looks like a huge smile.
In the in-game, you see it as a smiley face every time, and like
Right.
the
Yeah.
normal like pub strategy, if you solo queue, everyone rushes there right off the bat. And it's so funny too, because that watchtower means absolutely nothing. But they make it seem so important, like they have the watchtower. Oh no.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It actually doesn't mean anything, and so it's really funny just the way they did it.
It is funny because everyone in a pub game immediately runs to it. It's like not
No,
even
we're
a question.
all going to the smiley.
We're all
It doesn't-
fighting.
It doesn't matter. You have Abathur, Asmodan on your team, and they both went bottom. The other 3 are going to that,
Yeah.
that smiley face
They're
to
gonna
die.
die.
They're gonna die every time.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, that's good. Just wanted to help with some terminology.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's funny because you said the smileys, and I'm in the mode of thinking like, what obstacle looks like a smiley face? But then, oh duh, I think I yell smiley face every time we're in one of these games. Smiley face.
You're one of the people who's like pinging it
Yeah.
obsessively. Hey guys, we're going here.
It's just because the ping is red, so it looks like putting like a little red nose on it. So
I didn't even
just,
think of that.
Yeah, so I'm like clown nose. Anyways, but speaking of ridiculous funny things, before we close on this map, let's talk about some of the fun little Easter eggs or tips, the little tricks that you can do, map secrets and things. And we have a couple written down, Jake, but do you have any favorites that you can, interact with the map things? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like you can release the shark.
Mm-hmm.
And
Save
then
the sharks.
it's like a Kraken at the very top of the map.
A
I don't actually know what
Kraken!
happens, but it definitely exists, and it like will come up out of the water or something.
Yeah,
And
I don't
so
know how to
that's-
activate that one.
I don't really either. It just randomly happens.
Oh,
Do you know, JC?
no.
If
I didn't
anyone-
actually know that he did that. I knew about the sharks.
Well, if anyone in the chat knows, let me know. But yeah, I don't know how to activate that. But the sharks seem to be like, is it only certain heroes with certain abilities that can do it? Because I killed someone next to it once, and that released the shark. And then I had Tyrande, and the owl released the shark. But I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to what does or doesn't.
I think it's like a skill shot on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
any
you
skill
can't
shots?
like target it with
Yeah.
like one where you click on a like
I
another
think it just
hero.
has to get hit by certain skill
Mm.
shots.
All right. So free the sharks. Poor sharks. That looks really uncomfortable how they're being held
Yeah.
there. So
It's not humane.
no,
No.
it's not. Call PETA. Release the sharks.
PETA. Now I'm searching around the map looking for other things, but I think those are probably the most well known.
Yeah.
Coolest at least.
Well, let's dive deeper into Abathur because I want to hear about your build, and I have heard a lot of people say that you're kind of like the Abathur specialist that they go to watch. So tell us
Kinda.
about this build that you've got on Heroes Fire.
All right, let me pull it back up. So,
Maybe we could start with
Oh, with his abilities.
his best uses. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but what his function is in a team comp.
okay, so in a team comp, Abathur has a shield and a little DPS that for everyone, right? And so pretty much every 7 seconds he can do his full rotation, which is 2 Qs, which is a lined small nuke, and then his W, which is a small surrounding AoE shot, does very minimal damage, and then his E, when he's in his symbiote form, is his which is his shield for an ally. So pretty much every 7 seconds you can almost recycle through and rotate and do the entire process, and it works really well. And so he's not a full character in early game before level 10, before he has like ultimates and stuff, but he has enough for everybody to make him where you can still do early team fights and he can still save allies, and he has this like almost like support slash a little bit of damage on top of kind of feel in early game.
Okay.
So that's kind of what Abathur. He has global mines that he can place, and he can use as scouting. He can use them to push multiple lanes at the same time, which is what I think most good Abathurs use it for. And then he has his E, which is Actually, I just can't even think right now what Abathur's E even is. Does he even have any?
Is
No,
it
I don't think so.
Carapace?
Well, Carapace
But that's
is when you're in
when in
symbiote.
Yeah,
symbiote
it's
form,
symbiote.
yeah.
Why am I like
Well, it's
not
not even
thinking about
listed on
this?
Heroes Fire,
Yeah.
so I don't think he has
doesn't even
one.
have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't have it. And so then he has, of course, his ultimate, which is Ultimate Evolution, makes a copy of any hero that he chooses. He doesn't get any of the talent choices for that hero, for that said hero that they already chose or anything. But he has like the base stats and the ultimate. of
Very
any
cool.
hero. So he, and also, and the best part about him is he actually, when he's in ultimate form, he actually doesn't count as anything. When you die, they don't get experience for you or anything. So no death timers. You're back to normal Abathur form.
And then his trait, Locust Strain. Tell us a little bit about
Right.
that.
His trait is just a locust that comes out every 30 seconds, and it just harasses. It just keeps pushing the lane, and so you can use that to help push early game a little bit more and drain the tower ammo. And he also gets experience for anything that his locust last hits too. So
Oh.
so even if you're not near the locust, it actually will pick you up experience over time.
That was actually something I wanted to ask about, as I think a lot of people who are first starting out with Abathur struggle with keeping up with experience. So what is your tip for that, like for making sure that you're helping your team keep up with experience?
Well, the most important thing is knowing where your opponents are. Like if you know that like a tribute spawned at, let's say, the bottom of the map, well then you could go to the top of the map and actually sit in lane experience safely, like just 100% safe, because everyone's gone, right? No one's there to kill you, no one's there to hunt you, and so you can sit there in lane experience, and because your body counts as experience, then you can actually soak that lane experience without using any of your abilities, and you can actually use your mines to soak mid lane experience, because three of your mines, which is how many you hold at one time, you actually kill the entire wave of minions. So you can kill all 6 or 7 minions with just one wave of W's, like well placed. And then your Q can actually hit the bottom lane experience from your symbiote hat, because wherever your hat is the same as a body. So technically,
No
Abathur
way.
can soak triple lane experience at the same time.
That's crazy.
Yep.
So the Locust, you said anything the Locust last hit, so that's different than everything else, because there's no other last hitting mercs in the game, right?
Well, the reason it works like that is because it's an ability. So if you throw a Psy Storm on a group of minions, let's say you're Tastar, and you throw a Psy Storm on a group of minions, and then you run away, like out of range, if the storm kills the minions, then you still get experience for it, because your ability killed it.
Gotcha.
The same as Asmodan can throw his Q, which are all the way across the map, and if it kills the minion, he'll get experience for it. But if he doesn't kill it, then he won't get experience for it.
Gotcha. These are the things that, like, I don't know how or where I would learn them unless you guys told me these things. 'Cause, like,
I didn't know that either.
I had no idea. So that's really good to know. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, and then, of course, we have talent-granted abilities where he can grab Mule, which does repair. Locust Brood, I'm not familiar with. Looks like...
The Locust Brood?
Oh, so that's 3
Brigade of
Locusts. Gotcha.
Right.
And then
So-
Promote, which promotes a minion.
Pretty
Cool.
much. Yep.
Okay, so tell us about the talents you picked.
Sure, not a problem. So with the talent 1, it just gives him more HP to the Locust that just keeps coming out slowly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that just makes it him able to drain ammo from towers that much quicker. And then in talent 2, we picked up level 4 for your second choice. We picked up Promote. Promote is all about pushing. So Abathur in general right now in his current build is a pusher. Like, he is a backdooring. He will constantly put pressure on you. He will kill you with buildings. He'll get your team experience from not even being in necessarily the fight. So a lot of times Abathur kind of does his own thing while the team is doing other things, right? The team might be doing merc camps or something while Abathur's like pushing lanes, right? So it's a totally different mindset playing Abathur to a normal hero.
Right.
Tier 7 is, everybody thinks that Mule is the best, because Mule pretty much can make it so that it slows down how fast your opponents can push you. Because Abathur gets stronger as the game goes on. He starts off in his almost weakest form, and then at 13 at 10 he gets a boost where he can actually team fight really well. He can make a copy of anybody, and he is a part of the team just as strong as Avala or anyone else in the team. Like you could double Arthas, you could do anything. Like all kinds of combinations that are really strong. If anyone watched BlizzCon, double Odin. Like,
Yeah.
it wins games.
It wins games.
It wins games. And then you have, and then at 13, it gets where his pushing becomes the next tier, because now his locusts actually explode upon death, and you get that experience that it picks up too.
Oh, cool.
And so then at 16, you get where you not only create the passive one that comes out, but you can make 3 additional ones every minute.
Cool.
And so it just makes it so it's so much pressure, and they do so much damage. They actually have ridiculous like damage output, the locusts do. If they actually would target heroes, those locusts would be like amazing. Like you would use it, Abathur would be like tunneling in right next to him just to drop it every fight. But sadly, they prioritize everything else over heroes right now. And that's fine. It's just the way you have to kind of play them, right? You have to play to Abathur's strength, which this is his strength. And so as the team, all this kind of goes on, where you're pushing lanes and promoting, you're still jumping to your allies and protecting them with a shield, and you're still helping them clear a camp quicker, and those type of things. So it's not just you're like focused completely and solely on the push, but that's just kind of the thing that happens over time as Abathur.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool.
And so you mentioned tunnel. That's one thing we didn't talk about too, is that Abathur doesn't have a mount, but he instead tunnels. How far can he tunnel?
He can tunnel anywhere he has vision. So if you have a mine anywhere, or anywhere you have like minions pushing, he can tunnel in vision of anything. So a lot of times people will put a mine in a bush and then just tunnel to it, so it's safe. No one saw anywhere that he went, right?
Cool.
And so he could just be there. And so that's where a lot of people do. And then there's like a whole other game to where it's like Abathur hunting is like a sport in itself, because you're like looking at their locust, and then you're looking at the timer on like how long that locust has been alive, and determining like how far Abathur it was away from this point, So it becomes this whole like crazy game
within a game.
Yeah, game within a game. So everybody's trying to pick up the bonus points for killing Abathur.
Are there specific bonuses for killing Abathur over another hero?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
the moral
See,
victory
again, the
of
moral
knowing
victory.
that you found
Like,
him.
You sleep well at night.
Right.
You can't ask for that.
Again, see, I don't know. There are these things that I don't know about this game, so you never know. But
Right.
But yeah, I do remember at BlizzCon watching some of that Abathur hunting. Are there any heroes that you would say are particularly suited for Abathur hunting? Because I remember that Falstad was one that the casters were particularly keen on.
Yeah, Falstad's okay at it. He's not the absolute best, but he's pretty good, considering he also can kind of counter push pretty well with his set, right? Like his Q can clear minions and locusts pretty well. So with that, he becomes a pretty good Abathur hunter / defensive hero. Another hero that's probably the absolute best is Zeratul. I think Zeratul is probably the absolute best Abathur killer. The problem is Zeratul is also not one of the most popular heroes right now, even though there is a few people that are just really amazing with him. And so he definitely has his place in the game. He's just not every game type of hero. So I think Abathur and Nova are really strong, because it puts a threat when Abathur goes out. Because a lot of times with Abathur, everything is about like keeping track of all the enemies, right? Well, Zeratul and Nova are cloaked, so it's hard to keep track of where exactly they are. And so it's a little bit more risky to tunnel somewhere, because you might tunnel there and then Zeratul's right there and he just snaps you instantly, right?
Gotcha.
And so, yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, if you're watching in the chat, I'm putting the link to this build if you want to try it out yourself. The pro-approved LzGamer Abathur build. Any other questions you have for him, JC?
No, I think all my Abathur questions are answered, which I had quite a bit, so thank you.
That's cool. And, I've played Abathur like maybe once, because I just haven't... I don't know, I haven't gotten to him in my grind to 5, but I wanted to ask what kind of player you think is particularly suited to playing an Abathur. My impression is that someone like a StarCraft player that's really used to multitasking is particularly suited for this.
Yeah, I think StarCraft skills helped me a lot with learning Abathur. He was like the first hero I picked up because it's Abathur, right? I knew about the StarCraft campaign and stuff. And so I was like, wow, this character's like really awesome. And I instantly learned, like, wow, you can just set like camera hotkey locations and you can jump around the map so quick and be on allies in seconds. or or less than seconds, right? Just like being able to be anywhere and everywhere just so quickly, just from having the normal like StarCraft mechanics that I learned over the last 10 years of my life. So longer than 10 years, 15 years of my life. And so yeah, I definitely think that Abathur takes a little bit more APM or whatever to really maximize everything out of. So I think probably a StarCraft player would be ideally better than somebody used to, looking at one hero and focusing on that one hero's objective and goal.
So map vision is going to be really important for playing Abathur too, because you've kind of got to be in like everywhere at once. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean that's ideal situation is being able to follow the minimap and always being able to keep an eye on where everyone is. Like that's I think what separates like a good Abathur from a great Abathur. Right now, with how good Abathur is, I don't know if there is a bad Abathur. They're all pretty good.
Wait until free Abathur week. I think your mind will be changed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, guys, that concludes kind of the teaching portion of our show, and now is the time where if you have any questions, you can tweet them at us using the hashtag StormShow. We'll do about 5 minutes of Q&A, so be sure to get your questions out right now if you have them, and we love answering them. So
I actually thought of one to start off.
Nice.
I have a question.
Okay.
So at BlizzCon, they mentioned that another heroic ability for Abathur is coming. He's right now the only one, I think, who only has one. Any thoughts or like ideas by chance of what you would like to see or what you think might happen with him?
I actually have no idea. We talked a lot about it, joked around like what would a second ultimate be, and he can copy his ultimate right now is copy an ally, right? I thought it'd be like, wow, it'd be really cool if you could like only choose an ultimate where you only copied your enemies. Like you actually made a copy of an enemy.
That'd be cool.
So I thought that would be like a really cool concept or idea. I don't know how you would actually do it. Like it sounds really bad to spawn right next to the enemy,
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna make a copy of that volley. You'd pop right next to the volley, just insta die. So I'm not sure how you would do it, but I actually thought that would be like a really cool idea.
It makes sense because the hard thing is to come up with a talent that's kind of similar to, and yet, like different from and balanced with the ultimate that he has already. Yeah,
like,
because
what could you possibly make that would be as good as copying an entire hero with heroic?
I have no idea.
I like that. I think that'd
imagine.
be cool. It's like, oh, you're playing. Well, it would change. I think it would change the meta up a lot too, because it's like you see an Abathur pick, and maybe you would think twice about picking Tychus on your team, but then at the same time, you have to deal with the fact that they would get a Tychus. So. Who knows?
that's actually I'm super interested in that idea. Like I couldn't, like you said, JC, I couldn't think of anything that would be like tempting to pick other than Ultimate Evolution as Abathur. But if you could clone your enemy, then you're right. That makes for really interesting drafts, because if I don't want you to copy me, then I don't want to pick that hero. That's really cool. Good idea, Jake. This is why we have you on the show. That beautiful
Blizzard,
brain of yours.
Blizzard, you know how to contact me.
Gilly, have you seen any other great questions?
Yes, I'm sorry. Let me pull these up. One of them is how many different heroics can Abathur learn from his evolution, which I don't really know if I understand the question, but you can get whatever heroic of the person who you copied they selected, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
In essence, you could have 4 different ones every game because you have 4 team members.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And a lot of times there's situations where you actually want different ones too, Like if a battle starts, you wouldn't want to copy for a Tychus. Like if you're not ready, like engaging on them with a Tychus, you wouldn't necessarily want that because you don't have your ultimate for 10 seconds after you make the copy, right? And so you couldn't just directly Odin, and so then you're like really vulnerable as Tychus, right? To where you're not as strong in that beginning early fight. To where if they engaged on you and you wanted to make a copy and fight, well, like Uther would be a great choice. You have, a burst heal, you have a AoE line, straight shot heal, and then you also have a stun. Even without having your ultimate, he still has a really strong kit that could support a team, right? And so there's like different times that you'd want everything. But yeah, to answer that question, you can only have 4 technically.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really cool thought that I hadn't really considered, is that you want to be considering where you're at in the fight because you don't get your heroic for 10 seconds, so you could just completely waste it,
Yeah.
which would be really sad.
Been there, done that.
Oh no!
That would make me super salty, I can imagine.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, especially considering it's like tied with the longest ultimate in the game, so it's like 120 seconds, so 2 minutes. And so it's like, all right, guys, have fun. 4v5. I'm backdooring. Like,
Yeah.
Another thing with the Ultimate Evolution is that you not only have to know Abathur, but you have to know the other heroes, which I think is something to really consider. So maybe don't like start Abathur when you start the game. I don't know.
Yeah.
You did, right?
It wouldn't be too good to copy somebody like, now what is this QWE?
Yeah.
What is this? Like, yeah.
That's
Just
another
standing there
interesting
like,
another interesting point about Abathur is you really have to kind of be a universalist to begin with before you can play a really good Abathur. So I would assume he's one of those heroes that's labeled very hard to play.
He is. He's with Tassadar, the hardest hero in the game.
Nice. Really?
Well, not
Tassadar's
really.
labeled the hardest?
No, he's just labeled in the same category. Like, he's considered very hard. I don't really
Really?
know why.
That's interesting.
Everybody thinks he's like really easy. So.
Yeah.
Tassadar?
I
Yeah.
don't think of him as very hard.
Storm things. Another question, and this is pretty broad, but maybe as concise of an answer. Does it matter which lane I go to, or can any hero go to any lane?
We should be calling out to first. That first question
Oh.
was from Fairgrim, and this
I'm
one
the
is Drew Chimprel. Drew underscore. That's what you're.
Yes, lots of underscores.
So I think what he's asking, if I'm guessing because I've been at that point too, is when I'm starting a game, I have this hero I'm playing. Is there any way to know which hero goes in which lane, or does it matter at all?
It definitely matters, and every character has kind of like a strength on what lane it's actually best at, or what kind of position on the map. And so, I mean, it's map dependent, but let's just say if we were playing Garden of Terror, for example, that if you had a Tassadar on your team, you would want the Tassadar mid, so that he could use his Oracle and scout out surrounding ganks and kind of see where enemies might be going. So you can tell, if they're roaming or something, you might be able to see them go towards top, and then you can let your allies know, like, hey, if this person's coming top, you can ping him or something. So those type of things, like so Tassadar is one of the stronger mids for that, because he has like the passive to give a huge sight vision range. And then when it comes to people like Arthas or Kerrigan, Diablo, like those heroes they're not terrible in lane, but they're so much stronger when you use them to like roam or something. So they're what we consider like roamers. Illidan, for example, he's not bad in lane, but he's actually way better in the jungle. So he's closer to like a jungler or something, right? He can clear camps really fast and by himself. He doesn't even really need help. And so there definitely is different heroes that are better at other things. So it just depends on the hero and the map on where you would be. But yeah, if you look into it, you can definitely find out where each hero kind of belongs and where they kind of feel more suited.
We try to our show's trying to be pretty newbie friendly, at least until we get out of the alpha. So if somebody were to just literally for the first time pick up the game and all they know about the heroes is like, okay, this is a warrior, this is an assassin, this is a specialist, and they can generally see, okay, this person is maybe going to be faster, this one's maybe going to be tankier. What's one starting point that they could get to start knowing, like, okay, this character is probably going to be good to stick to lane pushing, or this character is really going to be good in the jungle?
Yeah, I mean, you can really just look at how much damage they do and how much health they have to where they can kind of be more times than not. I mean, in the beginning when you're just learning, just learn the hero. You don't have to learn about if you're in the right lane or not. When I started the game, I didn't even know what a right lane was, if there even was one, right? And so it was just it was all about just like learning the map and learning where I'm supposed to be and those type of things. So it's really just taking it like, when you're first starting off in the game, it's not necessarily about being in the right spot, because there's really no right spot in the beginning, right? You're just learning the game and you're trying to figure out what's the best place and for me to be in. And so, when you're starting over or starting fresh in a new game, just have fun with it. Like, just experiment. Like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say too. I think maybe that question spawns from if you have a lot of experience with, say, Dota, for example, or something
Right.
like that, where you have a very defined role, your character is good for one very specific type of play, and that character probably belongs in a specific lane for that specific role, that kind of stuff. In Heroes,
Right.
that really doesn't exist as much. It's a
It really
lot more
doesn't.
free form, I would say.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, I mean it's also ever changing. Like there's no even like constant meta that just happens. Like this week, the new thing or not new thing, but the popular thing to do or the cool thing to do is the double tank lineups and double bruisers and those type of things. Next week it could be double healers. Like you just never really know, right? And so there's no like set position yet, which is still the cool thing about this game. It's still like people are just learning new things all the time, and it's ever evolving.
And
The
the
Wild
fast,
West.
yeah.
Exactly.
A lot of the fast pace of this game and how quick the games are, although some people coming from other MOBAs maybe feel like it's so chaotic and they can't even catch their breath, that's kind of what makes it that way, and that's what I really enjoy about it. Is I don't like that long, like, dink dink, we're just gonna hit each other in these 3 lanes until we finally so I'm hoping that the game stays that way. Personally, I like that the roles aren't defined, and I can kind of take my character and do what needs to be done in that particular game. So I'm hoping it'll stay that way.
Absolutely, and you also get to change your character so much. It's not just like you buy item to make it X, Y, and Z stat stronger from like a different MOBA like Dota or whatever. But you actually get to completely change some of your talents, to where it's like, instead of being an auto attack Bala, I actually want to be able to, make her more of caster. You make her caster oriented, and that's totally an option, and so that changes the whole way that she's played, and really changes her strengths completely. And so things like that, that's the awesome thing of this game.
Very cool. Well, guys, we're going to actually get right into playing this game, unless there's anything else you guys want to add on those questions.
I did want to say shout out to Forecourt Jester, who is in the chat. We use Heroes Fire every episode to show off the builds, and it's so amazing. So if you are trying to make builds or figure out builds or just generally learn about the game, check out Heroes Fire. It's really cool.
Yeah. They don't have any agreement with us to promote that. We just love it so much that
Yeah,
every week we
what
tell
would we
people
do
about
without
it. I honestly would not have learned Heroes nearly as fast without the help of Heroes Fire, because I have a dual monitor setup. I just have Heroes Fire on one and I play the game on the other.
You're like, okay, what do I get next?
Yeah,
And
exactly. Okay, so guys, we're gonna set up for a big custom game as a special surprise tonight. We actually have Team 2Arc, who's going to be playing against Team Eye on the Storm, which is hilarious because poor Jake is a pro player set up against an entire pro player team and carrying a whole bunch of non-pro players on his back. I'm going to be obsing, but so I won't be able to talk very much because I don't want to give anything away, although 2Arc could probably stand to have a little bit of a handicap in this. But who else is joining us on our team, Gillyweed?
On our team is going to be, in addition to me and LzGamer, it will be Starby and Brosidon and Kyberries. So you've seen all of them on here in some form, either on the team against us or on our team, but we'll all be joining together to battle the epic that is 2Arc Gaming.
And one cool thing is you guys will get to see that Abathur build in play, because LzGamer is going to be taking on Abathur to compensate for the fact that we'll be out on the map maybe not doing the things we should be doing. So anyway, we're going to go dark really quick, so the stream will go down, but don't worry, it will be right back as soon as we have everything set up. So we will see you guys in just a moment.